Hello class. In this video, we're going to work on how to compare decimals and fractions. But before we start, I want you to pause the video, create your own heading, first name and last name, the date, mathematics, your period, and the lesson assignment, compare decimals and fractions. Now in the last video, we worked with comparing decimals, and we were only comparing the decimals itself. But we're not always comparing just decimals. Sometimes we have to compare fractions, which are still decimals, or we're doing it in decimal form and fraction form. And that can be a little bit confusing, but it's okay because we have a set of rules that'll help guide us for that. So for our rules, the comparing part is pretty much the same thing, except there's a brand new rule. And that's the first rule. We need to convert all numbers to the same form. Either both numbers need to be in fraction form or both numbers need to be in decimal form. So that's what we have to do first. Then we're going to line up both numbers by place value, add our 0 to any of the empty place value positions, and then we're going to compare the numbers starting with the digit on the far left, which is our largest place value. I want you to pause this video now and write down these new rules. Now that we have these rules, let's look at some examples. So here we have two of them. We're going to work with this side first. So here in this number, we have 299 thousandths and 3/10. Now they are not in the same format because one has 1,000 in the denominator, the other one has a 10. So what we have to do is we have to convert one of these numbers. And the easiest way is to convert the 3/10 to have a denominator of 10. So going back to last year's skill, we need to look at, we have 3 over 10. What am I multiplying my denominator by to get 1,000? Right? And that would be 100. Remember, whatever you multiply the denominator by or the numerator by, you need to multiply the other one by. So then the 3 we have to multiply by 100 as well. So 3 times 100 gives us 300. And 10 times 100 gives us 1,000. Now that we have our conversion, we know that 3/10 also equals 300 thousandths, right? So I have that, and now I have, since the denominators are the same, I can now compare just the numerators. So I'm going to write the numerators right above each other. So that's 299, and then the 300. Remember, I'm going by place value. I'm going by place value. These are decimals, so I'm going to add my decimal places. And we always want to put at least a 0 if there's no digit in the 1, so we could call out that decimal. So now I look in the ones, they're both 0. So I have to move to the one to the right. The one to the right has a 2 and a 3. Well, which one is larger, which one is smaller? We know that 2 is smaller than 3, and we know that 3 is larger than 2. So I got to pick which way that I'm looking at it. But since the 299 is on my left, I'm going to look at that first. So 2 is smaller than 3. So that means I need to use the less than symbol. So 299 thousandths is less than 3/10. Remember, when we write our final answer, though, it needs to be in the original form, not our working form. Let's try another one. Now here, they're both in fractions. But the base here is 1,000 and the denominator here is 100. So I need to convert that 100 into 1,000. So I'm going to write 7 over 100. And then I think, what do I need to multiply the 100 by to get 1,000? And that would be 10. What I do to the denominator, I need to do to the numerator. This is last year's skill. So 7 times 10 gives me 70. And 100 times 10 gives me 1,000. So 7 hundredths also equals 70 thousandths. Okay, so I'm just putting that there so I can see it. Now that my denominators are the same, I could then write those two numbers right on top of each other. So I have 705, and the next number is 70. But remember, okay, that's 70,000. So I got to start from the right. That 0 needs to be in the thousands position, which is right here. and then I put the 7 under the tens. And I have to add a 0 here because I have no tenths. I'm sorry, the 7's in the hundreds. I have no tenths, so I have to put a 0 there. Now when I look at this, I go, start the far left. They're both zeros, right? So I need to move to the right. And now I have a 7 and a 0. So I know 7 is larger than 0 and 0 is larger than 7. So I look at the first number, and that's 705 thousandths. So this number to this number is what I have to compare. So 7 is larger than the 0, so I have to use my greater than symbol, because 705 thousandths is greater than 7 hundredths. I want you to take a moment, pause this video, and write down this slide in your notebooks. So this was comparing fraction to fraction, which is pretty easy. But now we have one in decimal format and we have one in fraction format. What do? Well, I have to choose which one am I going to do. So I could either is make this 3 into a fraction, which since it's a base 10 number, I know it's 3 over 10th. So I have 16 and 3/10. Or I could put this back in a decimal form. So 16 and 4/10 is going to give me 16, my decimal, and 4. So I have to choose which one do I want to use. And because I have a whole number, I kind of want to use the decimal. So I'm going to make this be 16 and 4/10 by 16.4. And then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to list these. Remember, I am listing them by place value, right? I'm lining them up by place value, okay? Notice that each of my digits is right underneath each other. So now I compare to the far left. In the tens, they're both 1. In the ones, they're both 6. So they're different in the tens column. That's the first time they're different. So I know 3 is smaller than 4, and 4 is larger than 3. So 16.3 is my first number. So I got to say this is smaller than this. So I use my less than symbol. Okay? It's always that I want to make sure that I align them to the right way. And I also write it in order from left to right, if you noticed in my lists. So here's another one that I have. I can write this one as a decimal, which would be, because this is in the hundreds, I know that the 4 must be in the hundredth spot, and the 6 then becomes in the tenths. Or I could put this in fraction form, right? Because my last digit is 100th, I know that my denominator is going to be 100. So you need to make a personal choice. Do you want to compare as a fraction, or do you want to compare as a decimal? And for me personally, because I have a whole number, I like to switch it to a decimal, but you could keep it as a fraction if you so wish. So I'm going to make the 44 6400ths be 4.64. Okay. Remember, we put our final answers back in our original spot. So I'm going to write my 2 decimals. This is my first one, so I'm going to write that one on top. And notice I'm keeping my numbers really neat and really lineable. And I look at here and I'm going to line again by place value. Okay. And now that I have it, I have no spaces I need to put a 0 in, so I could just compare. I start at the far left. In the 10 spot is the first one. They're both 4s, so I need to move to the 1s. Here, they're both 4, so I need to move to the tenths. Here's the difference. I have a 6 and a 4. So I know 6 is larger than 4, and 4 is smaller than 6. So my first number over here is the 6. So I got to use 6 is larger than 4, so I'm going to use my greater than symbol. So again, don't forget you need to put your answer with your original numbers, not the ones you changed or converted to, the original numbers. I want you to pause this video now and copy down this slide. Now that we have gone through a couple of examples, I want you to try some on your own. So in your notebook, write down the instructions, title it your homework, okay? Write down each question. Don't forget to show your work. In both of these questions, you have 1 decimal, 1 fraction. So you're going to need to convert either the decimal to fraction or the fraction to decimals. And I should see that work in your answer. And then don't forget to call out your answer with the original expression. You need to put this with this. You can't just give me a symbol because then I don't know which one you're looking at, okay? Because if I inverted this, I had 145 and 73 hundredths on this side, you would have a different symbol. So make sure you rewrite this whole statement with your answer. And again, you may review this videos at any point and as many times as that you need to.